Hello everyone, I'm Jennifer Grace and welcome to my latest layout process video. For this video I've pulled these supplies. I've got a photo of my son and daughter in my nana's garden, and I've been inspired by the crazy paving in the garden when I've been planning out my page. So I've just got quite a plainish cream texty background sheet, a selection of 6x6 papers, some alphas, gems, stickers, bits and pieces like that. So I'm starting just with the 12x12 paper. It's a piece of Prima paper, and I want to make a kind of crazy paving area at the bottom half of the page. So I'm starting off by just drawing a line as my kind of top line for where the paving is going to start at. So I've drawn that about 5.5 inches up from the bottom of the page. Then I have cut a 2-inch square from grey board, just a piece of chipboard, just to use as a template, and I am using that to cut lots of 2-inch squares of paper from a selection of 6x6 papers. Obviously you can use up lots of scraps doing this. I've got a selection of scraps and full-size papers because I wanted to use those patterns. To choose my papers, I just looked at the colours in my photo and I made sure I had a variety of papers with bigger patterns and some with smaller patterns because I wanted a mix. Once I'd cut a 2-inch square from each of my pieces of pattern paper, I'm then just chopping them into smaller triangles. So just cutting diagonally across the square to make 2 triangles, and then I'm cutting some of those into smaller triangles too. Not all of them, I'm keeping them, some of them as bigger triangles and some of them as smaller ones. Once that's ready, I just need to start arranging them on my background. So like I say, I was inspired by the crazy paving, which is just the kind of a irregular paving in the background of the photo. I actually helped my great uncle to lay the paving when I was about 4 years old. So I say help, I don't suppose I was helping very much, but there's photos of me standing in my wellies with a trowel trying to help him out. So it was really cool to see my kids playing on this paving, which I helped to lay, and me and my brother used to play on it all the time. So I really wanted to bring it out in the layout. So once I've got my triangles arranged in a pattern that I'm happy with, I am just inking the edges of all the triangles. So you can see my pattern is really irregular. I wanted it to just be a big fat mix, just like the crazy paving is. So the triangles are all pointing in different directions, and the lines don't meet up exactly, but they've all got a bit of gap in between them, like the grout would be in between the tiles on the paving. I'm inking them up like this because they didn't quite stand out enough from the cream background without the ink. The ink just gives them a little bit of edge, makes them stand out a bit more, defines the pattern. I'm using a dye ink because that dries faster. If I was using pigment ink, I'd be smudging it all over the place here. So if you do this, make sure you use a dye ink pad, then you're less likely to get smudges all over your background and all over your triangles. Right, I just checked that that did look okay, and now I'm ready to stick the triangles down. So I'm using my Herma repositionable tape runner. I find it a lot easier to do things like this with repositionable tape. If I was using just normal double-sided sticky tape, I would probably put things in the wrong place and then scream because I wouldn't be able to move them. So using the repositionable tape just means I can tweak things a little bit, just slightly change the angle, making sure that the gaps are the right kind of width. Just makes my life a little bit easier. I'm very glad when I've got some of this repositionable tape in stock at my house. So the triangles, I'm just working from the top down to the bottom of the pattern as I'm sticking them down. When I get to the bottom, I just check it again and I realise there's a few gaps I'd like to fill. So I cut some even smaller triangles by cutting a few of the pieces in half again, and I just fill up a couple of the gaps with those. It was because I realised the pattern was kind of more over towards the left hand side of the page, so I needed a bit more over towards the right and a little bit more at the right at the bottom as well, just to even it out. Once I've done that, I'm happy with my crazy paving inspired pattern. So I just rub out the pencil line that I made at the start, and then I can start to plan where everything else is going to go. So first of all, I know that I want to use this sunburst stamp, which is from the Chamel True Stories collection, because I've only just received this and I've been dying to use it, so that's going to go on my layout. That's the only reason. I'm just testing it out on a scrap piece of paper first to see how it comes out, and you can see that the pattern didn't come out completely. So I've just stuck a piece of felt underneath the scrap of paper just to give it a more even impression, just gives a bit more wiggle room when you're pressing down the stamp. So I've put that piece of felt underneath my main piece of paper now, and I'm just using this Grapefruit American Crafts ink pad to stamp it onto my page. Once that's in place, I just need to start fiddling around with all my other embellishments. So you saw I had quite a selection at the start. I won't be using all of them on my page, but I like to have a bit of choice. So I'm just going to start moving them around and working out where I would like them to go. So when I'm moving my embellishments around on here, I'm trying to remember that I need to leave space for a title and some journaling. I quite often forget about that. I'm also thinking about keeping the page balanced. I want to make sure the colours are repeated across the page. So for example, the yellow triangles are spread out, and then I've got a yellow Wellington boot and I'm going to use to bring that yellow over to the left hand side of the page as well. And I'm also making sure that the shapes are kind of balanced out a bit, so I'm breaking up the triangle pattern a bit by using the tree and the flower and other things that aren't so straight. They've got curved edges and funny angles. Just breaks up the page a bit so it's not all too straight and angular. So once I'm happy with the placement of things, I just start sticking it all down. I'm going to use some foam tape to stick my photo down, just to help it stand out from the page a bit, give the page some more dimension. But when I've stuck on the foam tape, I suddenly realise that I should have cut off some of the photo, because that'll give me some more space for my title and journaling and stop the page from getting so cluttered or overfull. So I chop off the top of the photo. It's a bit fiddly because I'd already stuck that foam tape on. I just had to pull some of it off and get that chopped so that it was level again. So I've got a smaller photo now, which means I've got a bit more space for my title and things. So just get that stuck onto the page and start sticking on the other embellishments too. Some of them are stickers. I'm just sticking this one on with foam dots, again just to keep that dimension going throughout the page. And the chipboard, which the sticky backing had come off of, and the wood veneer pieces and things like that, I stick on with glossy accents. My tube had clogged up a bit, but I just use a pin to reopen the hole. Once the embellishments are all stuck down, I can then stick on my title. I'm going to call it Take Two because there's 2 kids in the photo, but also because it's a kind of take two because me and my brother used to play here. This is in my nana's garden, and me and my brother used to play here so many times. So it's like another take on 2 kids playing in the back garden. I kind of liked that repeat of life. So my journaling carries on from my title too. So it reads, Take 2 cheeky children playing on the crazy paving. I helped my great uncle lay this paving at my nan's house when I was 4, and me and Ben played here a lot. It's nice to see you 2 here now. So I just wrote that straight on the background because it was a nice light background, so it stands out well. And then I just add the date underneath the tree over on the left hand side. I put it over here because the black ink was quite dark, so I wanted to reflect that on the left hand side of the page. Otherwise it was all dark over on the right hand side without any on the left. I just have a quick check that I don't want any more embellishments, any more of the chipboard or sticker embellishments on here, but I decide that I definitely don't. All I need now are some gems. So I just pull out a mix of enamel dots and gems, nice shiny things. Again, I'm breaking up the lines of the triangles by making sure some of the dots overlap the straight edges. I also, after the camera finished rolling, I added a glitter star next to the title because I found them on the floor after I'd packed the video camera away. So you'll see that in the photos in a moment. That's pretty much it. My layout is done. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Jennifer Grace, and you can find my projects at jennifergracecreates.com. I'll see you again soon.